the iPad mini, or the Nexus 7. With the holiday season right around the corner, these are the two tablets that are going to be competing for your hard-earned cash. This is the battle of the mid-sized tablets of 2012. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and let's begin. So this is a new product category that was born in the second half of 2012 with the Nexus 7. And these devices are bigger than the largest smartphones, but smaller than your traditional 10-inch tablet. Starting on the outside in terms of pure hardware, right off the bat, these are very different tablets on the outside. The iPad mini takes the thinness crown, and it takes on a bigger footprint thanks to that slightly larger display, which we'll talk more about in a second. And the Nexus 7, on the other hand, does feel a little bit more natural to hold, especially with one hand, and that's partially thanks to that soft touch material on the back and those rounded edges that make it pretty comfortable compared to the iPad's more premium feeling industrial square style design. Now, besides the lightning port on the iPad, these tablets have a pretty similar port and button situation going on, although the iPad's power button is up top, so that could get a little awkward when trying to one-hand it. But the iPad mini does have the back camera advantage, so in the event you need to take photos or video with your tablet, the iPad's your choice. Both do have a front-facing camera though, so that's convenient. Also on the speakers, the Nexus 7 has an average tablet bar speaker on the back of the device. It fires backwards. But the iPad mini has a much louder speaker, but the iPad mini speaker faces to the side of the device, meaning when you hold the device in landscape mode, it fires sideways. Now, for some reason, the Nexus 7 speaker didn't bother me, but the sideways audio from the iPad mini drove me a little bit insane when trying to game and watch YouTube videos. And speaking of watching stuff, the displays are very important because that's what you interact with, that's what you're constantly looking at when you're using the tablets. The Nexus 7 has a pretty average display. It's not bad. It's a 1280 by 720 7-inch display, which gives it a pixel density of 216 ppi. It's a pretty decent display, honestly. It's not the brightest in the world, but it's responsive and kind of crisp, and it gets the job done for the price you pay. The iPad mini, on the other hand, has a 7.9-inch display, with a thinner, smaller bezel with a resolution of just 1024 by 768. This gives it a pixel density of just 163, and I think this here is the iPad's biggest flaw. At least from my experience, Apple really skimped on the display, and it is noticeable. Even when not directly comparing it to a super high resolution display side by side, I noticed pixels, especially with text on the iPad mini. Now, that being said, the next generation iPad mini absolutely will have a Retina display of some sorts, but until then, this is sort of the feature that does it down for me. I can see pixels everywhere. Either way, with this thinner bezel, sometimes you end up resting your finger partially on the display, so there's a neat improvement made to iOS specifically for the iPad mini to reject that accidental input, so that's really cool. The Nexus 7 has a thicker bezel though, so they, I guess, trust you in the software not to accidentally touch the screen. But of course, outside of the hardware, the other difference between these two tablets is their operating systems. Android 4.2 Jelly Bean on the Nexus, and iOS 6 on the iPad. Now, besides coming down to pure preference, there are some tangible differences, like this means you can pick between the Google Play Store and its 700,000 apps, or the Apple App Store and its 1 million apps. One huge advantage for the iPad here is, at least because of this 1024 by 768 aspect ratio, this is the same aspect ratio as the iPad 2 and 3 and 4, so all of the tablet-optimized apps and games that work perfectly on the iPads will work on the Mini just fine, with no letterboxing or stretching required, so it has the apps advantage here. But then again, Google Maps or Apple Maps, Google Now or Siri, YouTube or no YouTube. It's your choice. I've also found that the battery life on these two tablets is about the same. Sometimes the iPad lasts a little bit longer on standby when you're not using it, but once you really get to using these two, they're about even with each other. And for performance, it's the Nexus's Quad-Core NVIDIA Tegra 3 versus the iPad's dual-core A5 from the iPad 2. And in real-world performance, both are quite snappy, no performance issues here, but I would say the iPad is overall smoother, but the Nexus is overall faster. And I guess what I mean by that is the frame rates and animations will be faster on the iPad thanks to better graphics, but the load times will be faster on the Nexus 7 thanks to better processing. So in the end, the Wi-Fi Nexus 7 starts at $200, while the equivalent iPad mini is $330, but I gotta hand it to Apple for giving it a 4G option, which is nice, while the unlocked Nexus will get you HSPA Plus speeds. Overall, you might go with the iPad mini if you're familiar with or enjoy that simplicity of iOS. It's like a large, flattened out iPod Touch for 30 extra bucks. Think about that. Or you might go with the Nexus 7 if you enjoy messing around with Android, or if your budget is lower, or if you do a lot of video watching on a 16:9 display, or YouTubing, because of that YouTube app. But you can't go wrong either way. I'm sure whichever you choose this holiday season, you won't be disappointed. Either way, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, feel free to +1 or give it a thumbs up here, and enjoy your Turkey Day if you celebrate it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.